Now, hold on to your credit cards and charging cables. Apple has unveiled its brand new device this morning at an event in California. They're offering new colours, buttons and camera quality. Tech expert Jeff Quattromani I call him, was up at 3 a.m. to witness the announcements, and he's here to tell us all about it. Jeff, fair play to you first off. Let's start with the Apple Watch. What are the changes? Is it shatterproof yet, or...?
It's not completely unbreakable. It looks just like last year's model, which is fantastic for consistency. You don't have to worry about looking different. But it has got some new features, and one of them is that if you tap your finger like this, you'll actually start to select items on the screen.
What?
So if you're carrying your shopping, the phone's ringing, you could actually just go click, and you'll answer the call on your watch. Now, that feature has existed before with Apple, but they've made a bit more of a deal about it. It's more integrated with the watch now, so potentially some convenience there. Yeah, just a simple tap and you'll answer the call.
So you're going to look pretty weird going down the street doing a bit of this action.
That's going to be the next thing we'll start seeing, is people just clicking their fingers as they're walking around, and that'll be stylish, I guess.
The new phone is, of course, the other thing. Now, we're used to seeing all this excitement around Apple's new products, and then there inevitably be queues outside the shops as everyone lines up to be the first one to get it. What do we see with the iPhone 15?
We haven't seen queues for years.
Oh, really?
We haven't seen them for years. It used to be a thing. People would camp out weeks ahead of time. That's not happening, and I don't think this phone is enough reason for anyone to camp out either. It looks, again, just like previous generations, but some basic changes that we're going to see is that the iPhone 15 adopts new features from last year's Pro. So a lot of the features will step down, but the Pro now comes in a titanium version. So that's going to have a new casing around it, definitely stronger and lighter. But the big thing for everyone, and what everyone's talking about today, is that the charging connector is changing.
Right, explain this, because we've been hearing a lot about this.
So this actually, it was triggered by the EU. So the European Union said, we're tired of having all these cables everywhere, all these people frustrated, and a lot of it going into landfill. Everyone now has to have USB-C charging.
So when you say everyone, you mean all the Androids, all the different types of phones,
all
right?
laptops, headphones, every technology product that comes into the EU must have it. So Apple went to court, they fought it, they lost, they've now had to make the change. This morning they said it was a great decision on their behalf to move forward and innovate, but it was definitely something they were forced to do.
So it's now a USB-C charging cable, which is the same thing that goes into your laptop and that sort of thing, even your Apple laptop, actually.
Yeah, Apple and even iPads have had it for some years as well.
So what happens, like I've got plug-in headphones which have a lightning attachment on it. To charge my Max headphones, I need a lightning. So what happens to all of those?
They're selling an adapter now. So for $50, you can buy the iPhone adapter that will go from lightning to USB-C.
Right.
Or what they would prefer is you just buy new headphones, new chargers and so on.
If you've got the AirPods and things, it doesn't matter, does it?
No, not so much. But they have also released... Yeah, so they've also released a new pair of AirPods overnight with the new connector. No other changes, just the charging is...
But you can charge your AirPods...
Wirelessly.
Wirelessly, yes. So, yeah,
okay. Do we need to keep buying laptops? What's going on with these phones? And much are they?
What's the price?
So the iPhone 15 will start at $1499. The Pro starts at $1849. So we're looking at well over $1,000 these days for the new iPhone. They still have the SE, which is their bare bones kind of dated model, which is around $720. So yeah, up to almost $3,000 for the new iPhone.
So is now the time, you know, with cost of living and so forth, to go out and buy, I don't know, an iPhone 12? Like, do they come down in price, or an iPhone 13? And they still do a lot of the good stuff, right?
Absolutely. So even the iPhone 10, for example, will still receive software updates next week when the new operating system comes down. But if you've got a phone that works today, don't replace it. I've always been of the opinion, if you can keep your phone working and it continues to receive software updates, why spend the money? Unless there's something that you really have to have in a new phone, keep the money in your pocket, keep it running.
But are the phones replacing laptop? I mean, what's going on here? Like, I'm trying to get my head around it. Yeah, they do so much. Like, do people who say are buying the top end of stuff, are they using that as their computer?
Because it's got a terabyte of storage on it, right? The top one. That's more than most laptops.
Correct. I mean, you can do a lot with it, but are people choosing to have a phone or a laptop? Not really. They can just afford a really expensive phone and probably still have a laptop to go with it.
Usually we hear something about the camera. Is there something special with the camera this time around?
Yeah, definitely some new camera features. I think the big one that they've added to the Pro is a 5x zoom. So that brings them into line with what Samsung and Google's been doing for a little while. But yeah, from further away, you'll get a better shot these days. So the camera has improved in that regard.
So that means everyone at concerts will still be doing this.
You'll still be holding it up and you'll still be getting those terrible photos.
No, but
so
with
far,
5x zoom, you'll get Beyonce full frame.
it'll get a little bit better.
Bit of Tay-Tay right in your thing.
Is there anything with the batteries? Because I'd imagine if you're using all that stuff, the batteries just zipped.
Yeah, I think it's always been this bit of a push and pull that they add new features, they also improve the battery life, but it kind of levels out. So they've just said a full day of battery life across the range. So
Righto.
at least a day you'll get home and still charge it overnight.
Can you still trade your old phone? Like, you just say you're mad enough to get one of these. Can you give your old phone and they'll take...
Yeah, and that's like, I recommend
$20
people
off
do
or
that.
something?
Because there's a few $100s to be had, isn't there?
Depending on the age of the
your
phone
model.
and how much
Yeah.
storage it's got, Apple will give you money back on a trade-in, or you can put it on Facebook Marketplace, Gumtree, give it to your kids. Definitely don't just discard it or leave it in the drawer. There's money in these devices still, definitely.
And there's an easy way to learn how to wipe them.
Yes, there is. I mean, wiping the back to factory settings is pretty easy on the iPhone now. But also, if you are selling it, you need to make sure you sign out of your iTunes account. That's the big one. Because if you don't do that, everything is still linked to your iTunes account. And no one wants to pick your phone up and suddenly be able to get into your Facebook and email and whatnot. So always sign out of iTunes.
Handy
did not know
advice.
that.
You've always
You're awesome,
got
mate.
handy advice,
I'll try
Jeff
to help.
Quattromani. I'll tell you what. Now, for more information, he's got it absolutely covered. Everything you need to know about the new Apple goodies is on Jeff's podcast, Technology Uncorked. Thanks, Jeff.
Thanks,
See you
team.
soon.
Come on, Jeff.
Now, up next, does less is more really work for your makeup? We're busting some myths right after the break.
Makeup, I say a little